Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, September 18th. Quite an interesting weather pattern shaping up for the latter part of the weekend and the early part of next week. There is the potential for a storm to ride up the East Coast. If in fact it does, it will contain quite a bit of tropical moisture and could produce some significant rainfall in the Mid-Atlantic region in the Monday-Tuesday time frame. It's still questionable at this time, but we'll kind of focus in on that possibility over the next several minutes. A chilly morning here in the Mid-Atlantic region as we begin the day on Wednesday. Temperatures way down in the 40s in most of the suburban locations of the big cities along the I-95 corridor between D.C. and New York City. Another brilliant sunshine type of day here, but cooler than normal this afternoon with high temperatures not too far from the 70-degree mark. It'll get slightly warmer as we approach the weekend, perhaps touching 80 degrees in some areas on Friday, perhaps more likely for that to happen on Saturday. Then a cool front moves in for the latter part of Saturday night into Sunday with some showers, perhaps an isolated thunderstorm or two. Then beyond that is the period of interest as tropical moisture down in the Gulf of Mexico could ride up the East Coast. We have a little disagreement right now amongst some of the computer forecast models, and we'll talk about all of that over the next several minutes. Here's the latest surface map across the U.S. High pressure just continues to dominate the scene here in the northeastern part of the country, and it will continue to do so right into the weekend, really until that cool front, which is way out here in southwestern Canada, until that cool front moves into the eastern states. This high will dominate. It'll grudgingly pull off the northeast coast over the next 24 hours or so. Then we'll get a slightly milder flow of air out of the southwest, again boosting temperatures to perhaps the upper 70s on Friday, and then near or slightly above 80 degrees by Saturday, and then we'll deal with that cool front. Now meanwhile, there's lots of moisture throughout the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico, from Mexico all the way to the Caribbean. There's some signs that that'll consolidate into a low pressure area that could move up the East Coast early part of next week, and we'll talk about that over the next couple of minutes. Here's the latest GOES infrared satellite loop from the SSEC Wisconsin website. Lots of clear skies underneath that dome of high pressure here in the northeastern part of the country. Again, probably wall-to-wall sunshine once again today, despite the fact that yesterday it was sunny the entire day. Temperatures were some 10 to 15 degrees below normal for this time of the year. Given that sunshine, that's quite an impressively chilly air mass for this time of the year. Some moisture out here over the Ohio Valley will throw a few clouds our way as we approach the latter part of the week. At the same time, we'll get a little bit milder as our flow at the lower levels becomes out of the southwest. Notice all the moisture down here and all the clouds seen here on this infrared satellite imagery loop across the Gulf of Mexico. There's a tropical system here in the western Caribbean, the remains of Tropical Storm Manuel just dousing Mexico with some heavy rainfall, and lots of moisture remains from Tropical Storm Ingrid. So really from the west coast of Mexico all the way to the western Caribbean, there's just tons of tropical moisture, and we'll see some of the computer models now consolidate that into one low that potentially could ride up the East Coast the early part of next week. Well, let's focus in on this potential East Coast storm early part of next week, especially with regards to the GFS model, the NOAA U.S. Global Forecast System model versus the European model, because right now they have some differences for this potential storm the early part of next week, with the European much more favorable for bringing significant rains to the Mid-Atlantic region. However, the outlook on the GFS is certainly does not have to change much to bring the same scenario into the Mid-Atlantic region. This is the current upper level chart, 500 millibars, about 18,000 feet. I thought I would kind of focus in on the upper levels because that's really where the differences lie right now between these models. This is again the current. Notice basically high pressure ridge sitting down here over the northern Gulf of Mexico region. A flow of air here with a trough in the Pacific Northwest and kind of minor troughs, short waves here across the northeast, but basically cool conditions here and high pressure ridge sitting over the Gulf of Mexico. Now this trough right here plays a crucial role. This is what will generate that surface cool front that moves into the eastern states during the second half of the weekend, but it also plays a potential role in the development of a storm and the potential movement of the moisture out of the tropical region up the East Coast the early part of next week. Let's now jump ahead to Saturday morning's upper level forecast map. And here is last night's 0Z GFS model run forecast map in the upper levels, 500 millibar for Saturday morning. That Pacific Northwest trough moves to the east, and here it is right here, and it's generates an open wave here in the upper levels by the time Monday morning rolls around. In fact, let's now jump ahead to Monday morning. And here's the forecast map for Monday morning. A trough indeed down here in the southeastern part of the country, kind of an open wave right here. And we'll see in a moment the European model has a little bit more of an impressive upper level feature with a closed low in the in that part of the atmosphere. And right now this is also indicating that there can be some tropical moisture riding up this kind of flow along the East Coast. But the GFS, as of last night's run, generally has the surface low just moving too far to the east to bring significant rains to the I-95 corridor. In fact, let's now jump ahead to the surface maps from the last night's 0Z GFS model run. Here's the GFS forecast map for Saturday morning. Cool frontal system here closing in on the East Coast. Pretty impressive band of showers and isolated thunderstorms. And notice way down here in the Gulf of Mexico, low pressure now on GFS in the western Gulf comes Saturday morning. Let's now jump ahead to Monday morning's surface forecast map. Here it is. GFS does have indeed quite a soaking rainstorm along the southeast and southern part of the mid-Atlantic, and high pressure situated to the north here in the southeastern part of Canada, bringing in some Atlantic moisture. So this is quite an impressive area. But now let's jump ahead to Tuesday morning. And here's the Tuesday morning forecast map, and that low generally moves to the north and east according to the GFS model, sparing the I-95 corridor with significant precipitation. There is indeed some light precipitation depicted here by the GFS model, but for the most part, for now, the GFS model pulls that potential East Coast storm off to the south and east of the Mid-Atlantic region between DC and New York City. But now let's take a look at the European model. Well, here's the upper level chart from last night's 0Z European model run. Now, this is for Monday evening. Now, just a moment ago, we showed that GFS had indeed a trough in the southeastern part of the country, but it had kind of an open wave. European is a little bit more bullish with this particular upper level feature with a closed low here in the southeastern part of the country. Again, this is Monday evening. Let's now jump to Tuesday evening. Here's the forecast map for Tuesday evening. Quite an impressive upper level feature right here sitting along the Mid-Atlantic region come Tuesday evening. A little bit more impressive than the GFS model run. Now, how does this translate to the European surface forecast map? Well, here's the surface forecast map for Tuesday evening. Low pressure sitting right along the Mid-Atlantic coast. Quite an impressive area of moisture depicted here by the European model from DC, across Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City. So indeed, the European model is a little bit more bullish for this potential East Coast storm come early next week. And generally, the European model is a little bit more accurate than GFS model in these types of situations. So we'll continue to monitor this over the next several days here at the SIWeather.com. That's it for now. I'm meteorologist Paul